squad? It's your favorite Auntie and Uncle Tendencies. Welcome back to Cess Talks Sports in collaboration with BEWISE PoliSports Podcast. Y'all know what it is. It's PoliSports T. And y'all already know we keep it real, we keep it honest, and most importantly, we keep it about the game and the business behind it. Today, we dive into one of the biggest conversations shaking up the WNBA right now. The players have opted out of their current collective bargaining agreement, and negotiations for a new deal are underway. This ain't just about basketball. It's about the future of women's sports, athlete empowerment, and getting these ladies the compensation, benefits, and respect they deserve. Now, let's be clear. The WNBA is growing. We're talking record-breaking viewership, sold-out arenas, new sponsorship deals, and major media contracts. And yet, the financial structure is still playing catch-up. Players want an economic model that reflects this success. Higher salaries, better benefits, improved working conditions, and a revenue share similar to the NBA. And let's not forget pensions and proper support for the women who built this league. So we're breaking it all down. What's on the table? What do these negotiations really mean for the players, the league, and the future of women's basketball? And what happens if a deal isn't reached? And to help us navigate all of this, y'all know I got Never Duck and Smoke co-host Political Lil, bringing the knowledge, the experience, and the no-nonsense perspective we need for a discussion like this. So grab your seat, tap in, and let's get to work because the business of basketball just got a whole lot more interesting. Now look, under the current CBA, WNBA players only split 9.3% of total league revenue, which is much less than what athletes in other major sports leagues earn. NBA players in aggregate receive between 49% and 51% of basketball-related income. NFL players get 48% of all revenue, and NHL players get 50% of revenue. The WNBA is more popular than ever. League revenue has doubled since 2019, from $102 million to $200 million. And new stars like Indiana Fever rookie guard Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Rickea Jackson, and Cameron Brink from the draft class of 2024 have helped the league bring in more fans. Salaries for these mega draws was under $76,535 for Clark, who was the number one draft pick and the league's rookie of the year, only earned $76,535 in salary. Dissatisfied with their low pay after a season during which the WNBA grew a lot in popularity, the WNBA Players Union officially opted out of the collective bargaining agreement, which means the current CBA will expire at the end of next season. Historically, the WNBA has always had a pay gap, just like hockey, soccer, tennis, and the list goes on. This pay gap exists due to various factors, with two of the most significant being player contracts without revenue sharing and audience viewership compared to the NBA. Since the inception of the WNBA 27 years ago, half of the teams have been financed by an NBA team, Forbes reports. The other half are under private ownership. Player salaries were capped to the 40-game season, and player contracts were never connected to revenue sharing. By design, this has kept the WNBA salary significantly lower than NBA salaries. One result of that inequity, many WNBA players end up having to play overseas to supplement their compensation, a situation that made headlines when WNBA player Brittany Griner was detained for 10 months in Russia, where she played during the off-season to earn extra money. It's also important to note that some WNBA players aren't necessarily saying they should be earning equal salaries to NBA players, dollar for dollar. In the NBA, they have percentages of revenue share for the players. So jersey sales, obviously their TV contracts. Las Vegas Aces star Kelsey Plum said on the Residency podcast, that's not the case in the WNBA. She noted, continuing, we're not asking to get paid what the men get paid. We're asking to get paid the same percentage of revenue shared. Opting out isn't just about bigger paychecks. WNBA President Nneka Ogwumike of the Seattle Storm said in a statement for ESPN, it's about claiming our rightful share of the business we've built, improving working conditions, and securing a future where the success we create benefits today's players and the generations to come. We're not just asking for a CBA that reflects our value, we're demanding it because we've earned it. WNBA players want a new collective bargaining agreement, CBA, that improves salaries, benefits, and working conditions. They also want an economic model that's based on equity and reflects the league's growing success. WNBA player priorities, salaries, higher wages that reflect the league's growth. Benefits, better retirement, health, and family planning benefits. Working conditions, improved professional standards for practice and game facilities. Equity, an economic model that's based on equity and reflects the league's growing success. And they also have some other considerations. A revenue share provision similar to the NBA's, higher professional standards for team travel and practice facilities, support for players with children, pensions including for former players, and negotiation. The WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association have met to discuss a new CBA. The players opted out of their current CBA, which was originally set to expire in 2027. They face the prospect of a work stoppage if they don't negotiate a new deal by the end of the 2025 season. Now let's talk basketball-related income. BRI is a term used in the NBA to define the pool of revenue that is split between players and owners under the league's collective bargaining agreement. It includes almost all revenue streams directly related to basketball operations. The precise definition of BRI is crucial because it determines how much money is available for the players' salaries, the salary cap, and other financial obligations. What is included in BRI? BRI encompasses various revenue sources tied to basketball activities. Here's a detailed breakdown. Game revenue. That means gate receipts. That's the income from ticket sales for all regular season, playoff, play-in tournament, and preseason games. Luxury suites and premium seating. That means the revenue for the VIP seating, including club boxes and corporate suites at arenas, concessions and parking. Money earned for food, beverages, merchandise, and parking fees at games. Media revenue. That's the national broadcast rights. Money from the league-wide TV and streaming deals. For example, partnerships with ESPN, ABC, and TNT. Local broadcast rights. Revenue from team-specific television and radio deals with regional networks. Digital platforms. That's the subscription from services like NBA and WNBA League Pass and advertising revenue from NBA digital content. Sponsorship and advertising. Jersey sponsorships. Money earned from logos on players' uniforms. Arena advertising. That's the revenue from courtside billboards, digital banners, and other sponsorship displayed during games. League partnerships. That's income from corporate sponsors like Nike, State Farm, Gatorade. Merchandising and licensing. That includes official NBA merchandise. Revenue from sales of team apparel, branded products, and collectibles. Licensing fees. That's the money from licensing NBA intellectual product, logos, team names to third-party manufacturers or for use in video games like NBA 2K. International revenue. That's global games and events. Revenue from international preseason or exhibition games. Overseas broadcast. Income from deals with broadcasters and streaming services outside the United States. Other basketball operations. That's expansion team fees distributions. Payments from new teams entering the league, like the Vouch paying $50 million to enter the league. When a new expansion team joins the sports league, the revenue generated by that team, including the expansion fee paid to join, is typically not shared with the existing teams as part of the league revenue sharing pool. Instead, the expansion fee goes directly to the current owners, essentially giving them a one-time windfall, while the new team then contributes to the overall league revenue like any other team once they start playing. Key points about expansion team revenue splitting. $4.17 million will go to each current team from the $50 million expansion fee. The expansion fees are not considered part of the basketball-related income. That is the split between players and team owners under the league's collective bargaining agreement. The expansion fee is typically divided evenly among current owners in the league. And once the expansion team starts generating revenue from ticket sales, sponsorships, and media deals, this revenue will then be included in the league's revenue sharing pool. Special events, revenue from events like the NBA All-Star Game, Summer League, and Draft Night. Certain income streams are not considered BRI and are excluded from revenue sharing calculations. Non-basketball revenue. That's income from concerts, non-NBA events, or other uses of arenas owned by teams. Investment income. That's earnings from unrelated business ventures by team owners. Real estate and venue operations will be the profits from team-owned real estate developments not directly tied to basketball. So why does BRI matter? Player salaries. The NBA allocates a percentage of BRI, around 49 to 51% to the players, which directly determines the salary cap in individual contracts. Revenue transparency. The definition of BRI ensures owners can't underreport revenue or divert basketball earnings to non-basketball activities. CBA negotiations. BRI is a frequent source of contention in labor disputes between players and owners as seen during lockouts. If the NBA generates $10 billion in total revenue in a season and $8 billion of that qualifies as BRI, players will receive 50%, approximately $4 billion, distributed among salaries, benefits, and other obligations. Owners will retain the remaining $4 billion to cover operational expenses, investments, and profits. The WNBA's revenue sharing is not as straightforward as a blanket percentage like the NBA's 50-50 split of basketball-related income. While NBA players collectively receive approximately half of the league's total BRI, WNBA players get about 20 to 25% of league revenues overall. But the exact breakdown by revenue category isn't publicly detailed. Here's how this works in context. NBA revenue sharing model, 50-50 split. The NBA CBA defines BRI comprehensively, encompassing all league-related revenue streams, including media rights, sponsorships, ticket sales, licensing, and merchandise. Players are entitled to approximately 50% of the total BRI. This ensures consistent player benefits and high salaries, as the revenue sharing is evenly applied across the various income streams. Now, the WNBA revenue sharing. The 20 to 25% estimate includes all revenue streams, but reflect the smaller pool of league income and a different allocation structure. Unlike the NBA, where most revenue directly count toward player-related compensation, the WNBA splits and redistributes certain categories more unevenly. Media rights. The WNBA recently secured a new $2.2 billion media deal, but the league retains a larger portion of this income for operational growth compared to the NBA's equal split with players. Sponsorship and licensing. Revenues from sponsorships like Nike and AT&T contribute to the league, but don't appear to be shared directly with players at the same rate as in the NBA. Game day revenue. WNBA game attendance, while growing, still generates far less revenue than the NBA. This is shared between the league and its teams, with a smaller cut going to the players. Licensing deals in the WNBA primarily involve the WNBA granting entities referred to as enterprises the rights to use the WNBA brand, logos, and player likeness on merchandise and other products. Examples of licensing deals would be covering the production and sale of various merchandise such as t-shirts, jerseys, and hats featuring WNBA team and player branding. The WNBPA, through agencies like One Team, negotiates group licensing deals for player-branded merchandise such as trading cards and memorabilia. This allows companies to use players' names, images, and likeness. Licensing deals can also be struck with individual teams in the league itself for various purposes, including corporate sponsorships. The key differences: higher proportion retained by the WNBA league. The WNBA uses a larger percentage of its total revenue for league operations, marketing, and expansion initiatives. The player share comes from a smaller overall pool after these operational expenses are paid. Unlike the NBA, which is already mature and profitable, the WNBA still prioritizes reinvestment to expand its footprint, which influences how much of the revenue is allocated to players. NBA players consistently get a 50-50 split across all categories of BRI. WNBA players, 20 to 25% share in aggregate, and the allocation differs across revenue categories, with the league prioritizing operational and growth expenses. This disparity reflects the different stages of league development and financial realities for the NBA and WNBA. However, as the WNBA grows its revenue base, particularly through sponsorships and media rights, there is potential for the players' share to increase in future CBAs.
Now, the new women's basketball league, Unrivaled, incorporates a player-focused revenue sharing model that is unique in women's sports. Players will not only earn competitive salaries, but also have opportunities to share in the league's revenue and equity. This model incentivizes players to contribute to the league's growth and success, offering a stake in the league's overall financial performance. Unrivaled is structured as a 3-on-3 basketball league featuring 6 teams of 6 players, and its plans to operate during the WNBA offseason. This setup allows WNBA athletes to remain in the U.S. rather than playing overseas during their offseason, providing additional income while staying connected to their primary league. Now, the league secured a $100 million broadcast deal with TNT Sports, which will likely be a significant source of shared revenue. Now, by involving the players in the league's financial success, Unrivaled aims to create a sustainable and empowering environment for women's basketball. This model is expected to attract high-profile talent and drive fan engagement, aligning players' interests with the league's growth goals. The specific breakdown of BRI, or basketball-related income, split for the players in the Unrivaled 3-on-3 league has not yet been disclosed. However, the league emphasizes a player-centric model with players having an ownership stake. This suggests a significant share of revenues will be allocated to players, unlike traditional leagues. This innovative structure is expected to set a precedent for athlete-driven professional sports league. Unrivaled, with the $100 million broadcast deal from TNT, provides a solid revenue base for the league operations and players' earnings. The exact percentage of BRI and how revenue will be distributed among players was not made public this year, but the league player ownership model positions it uniquely in terms of the athletic empowerment and revenue sharing. Now, when an individual player jersey is sold, the revenue typically goes into a shared licensing pool managed by the league, rather than being directly split between the individual players or their teams. This is true for both the NBA and the WNBA, as these leagues have collective agreements for merchandise licensing. And this is how it works. This is the revenue flow. They have a licensing agreement. Now, both the NBA and WNBA have agreements with apparel companies like Nike to manufacture and sell league brand merchandise, including jerseys. These agreements generate revenue for the league as a whole, rather than individual players or teams. Look at the shared pool. The revenue from merchandising sales, including jerseys, is collected into a pool that's managed by the league. The proceeds are then distributed according to the terms of the collective bargaining agreement. For the NBA, this is part of the basketball-related income. So the share is 50-50 between players and team owners. Each player benefits from the overall licensing revenue, even if their jersey is not a top seller. In the WNBA, licensing revenue is also pooled, but the players collectively receive a smaller portion of overall league revenue, approximately 20 to 25%. And let's look at player royalties. Players do not earn direct royalties from individual jersey sales unless they negotiate personal merchandise and endorsement deals outside the league's licensing structure. That's exclusive player branded items that are not covered under the league agreement. Now, here's a unique scenario: signature or limited edition merchandise. If a player releases special merchandise, like a signature shoe or exclusive jersey, under a separate personal endorsement deal, the revenue from those sales might go directly to the player or be split with their sponsors or teams, depending on the terms. Custom jerseys. Revenue from customized jerseys, the ones with a specific player's name added, still typically flows into the league shared pool. In general, revenue from standard team jerseys sold through league channels is pooled at a league level and distributed according to the league's revenue sharing model. Individual players benefit indirectly from these sales as part of a larger player compensation structure rather than through direct royalties from their jersey sales. Now, the current 2024 collective bargaining agreement of the NBA and WNBA reflects significant differences due to disparities in league revenue, team valuations, and historical development. And here are some of the key distinctions. Let's look at revenue sharing and player compensation. The NBA players are guaranteed roughly 50% of the league's basketball-related income. In 2023 season, the NBA generated $10.58 billion in revenue with an average player salary of $11.9 million. The salary cap is tied directly to league revenue, ensuring a proportional increases as the revenue grows. Now, for WNBA players, the players received an estimated 25% of the league's revenue. The WNBA generated about $200 million in revenue in 2024, with the average player salary of $119,590. But despite substantial recent growth, the revenue sharing model significantly favors the league over players compared to the NBA. Season length and media deals. The NBA, the team plays 82 regular season games with an extensive playoff format. The NBA benefits from a lucrative $2.66 billion annual media deal right, enhancing players' compensation. Now, the WNBA, the teams play 40 games per season. Although the WNBA recently secured a $2.2 billion media rights deal, player salaries and revenue distribution remain far below the NBA levels. Growth is accelerating as viewership for the WNBA finals increased significantly in 2024, reflecting rising popularity. Let's look at the player benefit. Both leagues offer benefits like health care and maternity paternity leave, but the WNBA CBA emphasizes specific provisions like paternity accommodations, child care stipends, and progressive pay increases for veteran players. The NBA players have greater financial security through larger guaranteed contracts, substantial endorsement opportunities, and higher playoff bonuses. Let's look at some of the team valuation. The average NBA team is valued at $4 billion, with individual franchises revenue significantly contributed to the league's wealth. The WNBA teams are valued at an average of $96 million. Many teams are still relying on NBA ownership or corporate backing for financial stability. These structures differences reflect the disparity in resources and revenue between the two leagues. Though the WNBA is making strides towards better equity for its players as the league expands its media footprint and fan engagement. Now, as basketball continues to grow globally, the concept of BRI will likely evolve, potentially leading to more equitable revenue sharing across different leagues and formats. The success of the player-centric model could influence future negotiations and league structure. So what does all this mean for the WNBA CBA negotiations? We're going to look at some excerpts from an article in USA Today by Sophie Dean. He asked this question: can we really count WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelberg as a supporter of Unrivaled? Let's see how that goes at the negotiation table. Engelberg attended the Unrivaled games as women's basketball 3-on-3 league neared the end of its inaugural season as an alternative off-season option for WNBA players. She toured the facility. And according to Unrivaled founder Stewart, both leagues can have success and both leagues can continue to uplift one another. I hope she just sees how hard we've worked to really put a great product on and off the court here. And it's the same in the W. I don't think anything has to be one-dimensional. It's nice for her to come down here and get a look at things before we kind of get started in the W. Now let's look at some points of contention in the upcoming CBA. Unrivaled players have received equity in the league, while their average salaries of more than $220,000 is close to the maximum base salary in the WNBA. The WNBA stars such as Stewart and fellow co-founder Nathia Collier have stressed the need for WNBA players to be paid more and have adequate equipped facilities to help the players succeed. Along with Unrivaled's main court, named Wayfair Arena, their Miami facility has a practice court, a fully equipped weight room, training room for rehabilitation, and even an area for childcare. Lexi Hall said, I think across the league that we all hope for a basketball player is to be given a facility and resources we can perform our best and do the best we can at our job. I think that's definitely going to be the thing that we're seeing having Unrivaled, and hopefully that can transition into the WNBA.
All right, family. I told y'all this was going to be a conversation worth having. We broke it all down: the fight for fair pay, the demand for better working conditions, the push for an economic model that actually reflects the success of the WNBA. These women aren't just playing the game, they're changing it. And let's be real. This ain't just about basketball. It's about respect, equity, and setting the standard for generations to come. The players have made their move by opting out, and now all eyes are on the league and its owners. Will they step up? Will they invest in the very athletes who built this league into what it is today? Or will we see another fight where players have to demand what should already be a given? One thing's for sure, this conversation doesn't stop here. We're going to keep watching, keep analyzing, and most importantly, keep supporting these players as they push for what they deserve. Thank you all for tuning in today and for being part of this critical conversation. Together, we can make a difference. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Share your insights with us on social media. Leave it or send us feedback. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and share this episode with your friends, family, and community. Let's keep this conversation going on social media. Amplify the conversation around equity and leadership in sports, and tell us what your takeaways were. A huge thank you to all of you watching and listening. Y'all are the heartbeat of this conversation. Keep asking questions, keep challenging the system, and keep supporting women's sports in a way that makes real change possible. Until next time, y'all stay locked in, stay informed, and as always, stay polysportical. Always follow the money. And before we sign off, remember, representation matters. Stay tuned for more Cess Talks Sports, BEWISE PoliSports Podcast episodes. Remember, sports are never just about the game. It's about the stories we tell and the change we create. Together, we can spark important conversations and foster progress towards equity in sports and beyond. Until next time, y'all stay connected, stay tuned. Join us as we navigate the complexities of this issue. Talk soon. We out.